Hello, welcome to FrightFest.
I'm incredibly honored to be here.
So, opening the film festival, which is a huge honour. How do you feel about this film opening the festival this year?
The legend is that when Jen and I were on the bus South by Southwest to go to Troublemaker Studios, she sent a link to Alan, and he watched it, and within like 2 hours of being it over, told us back that we're in FrightFest. And because of his history with the scene and the music, I have never been so honored in my life that we even got into FrightFest and the idea of being the opening night movie. First time filmmaker Jen Wexler, who's my close friend like a sister. There's just nothing to say. And this is actually my first time in London, and for people like me, it's like going to Vatican City. Because when I was 13, I watched a movie called Fear No Evil, and on the soundtrack was the Ramones and the Sex Pistols, and when I heard them, I went, this music sounds like me. And in this movie has a punk rock soundtrack, shows the punk rock counterculture in a very authentic way. I'm hoping that this is a touchstone for other like little Heathers out in the world to discover the gear and discover the look. One of the actors in the film, Bubba, who plays Abe, mentioned when we were doing our run at IFC Center, which for like old school people was the Waverly Theater back in the day, mentioned that he misses wearing the clothing because the clothing was always very empowering. I remember my first time wearing Doc Martens, walking around, and what that felt like. So
what can FrightFest fans expect from the film? What can we look forward to tonight?
It's filled with glitter and gore. It has a sense of humor. It is 70 minutes long, like the year punk broke. I think that's a huge part of it. It understands the history of where it comes from, but it's its own thing. It's a story of the development of what then in the movie becomes the final girl. It follows that story, that development, and that characterization and her friends when she has to face her past and overcome it. And it also shows a different final girl. She's not the virginal cheerleader girl. She does drugs, she's a fucking punk rocker, and it shows that any type of girl can sort of like be like a Buffy in their heart. Because I know Jen is very inspired by a lot of the slasher films in the 90s and also like a lot of Joss Whedon stuff.
So my last question for you is, what's your favourite horror film of all time?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because I feel that it transformed modern cinema, and then on par with that is Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, because I feel that's the genre's Taxi Driver.